why most innovations fail. In this module of your learning session, you will learn about why most innovations fail. If you want to master the subject of innovation, you need to understand the common pitfalls of innovation. This is more like warning on how innovations fail. And when you learn the reasons why innovations fail, you will learn more about what makes innovations really successful. And our organization's success depends on its ability to innovate. We have already established that. In this fast-changing environment, to thrive in the market, to gain competitive advantage, or to ultimately make revenue, a company needs to stay innovative. But when you are in the process of solving a problem or creating new value, organizations can fail with their innovations, and sometimes they can fail very miserably. Many innovation initiatives fail, whether you are launching new products or take up innovative projects, or even when you do mergers and acquisitions, keeping innovations in mind. Over 90% of the innovation projects end up as failures, never seeing the light of the day or generating any profit for the company. Many projects get started with this enthusiasm and vigor, but they get shelved eventually. Management may lose interest, or they shift priorities, or the idea may sound obsolete after some time. They may lack the relevance, or key people might have left the team, or after studying the financial viability of an innovation, many are even discouraged to take up risky projects. Sometimes the idea may not be unique anymore because your competitions are also venturing into the same, and you just want to wait it out. Bottom line, there are several reasons to quit on something you have started, whether you quit strategically or you quit cautiously, overcautiously. Many innovations tend to fail at various stages, from ideas to execution to iteration to market acceptance. In my experience, corporations have a much bigger problem, that is like what to do with good ideas once we have them. Employees who have been part of the ideation sessions are often frustrated because nothing substantiative happens with the ideas they generate. Most of the initiatives doesn't get completed on time. There is always a delay in execution. Some gets pushed to the back burner as critical firefighting scenarios emerge in the organization with the existing business itself. So you're forced to abort the mission. Studies show that around 60 to 80% of new products fail. It is difficult to determine the exact number of unreported cases because who like to talk about their innovation flops? Most companies like to keep their innovation failures in the dark. Therefore, getting exact data is difficult on this, but according to process expert Robert Cooper, out of every 7 new products, about 4 of them enter into development phase, 1.5 of them get launched, and only 1 succeed. That's how tough the product success rate is. Which leads us to the question, why do you think most innovations fail? What are the reasons and pitfalls? And how can you avoid them? We have to admit that there are tremendous risks involved in innovation, and that shouldn't stop you from innovating, because failure is a process, and they are called experiments. And experiments are often meant to fail. But the assured failure is not innovating at all. There are several reasons why most innovations fail. Now here I would be talking about 6 reasons why innovations fail. Number 1, not meeting a market need or making stuff nobody wants to buy. Most often, innovations spring from an idea, and that idea is so exciting that innovators ignore its real applications from a customer's point of view. It looks like a great value proposition, but it might lack the real connection with the market, what the market wants. No matter what you do, your cool ideas and products will not succeed if you're making stuff nobody wants. To make stuff what people want, you have to spend time exploring their needs and their urgency to buy your products or services above everything else. You need to consider serious questions like how customers' needs are met by your products and services. What would cause them to part their money with your product or services? Now, these questions are so fundamental that if you do not answer to that, you will end up making products that nobody wants. Even if your idea is great, still there are reasons why it can fail. Maybe you lost at implementing them well. A new product can fail internally because development, implementation, and marketing do not function perfectly. The idea can be good and perfect, but if the innovation process doesn't work, it will die. On the other hand, an idea can only be mediocre, but if it's implemented and marketed with utmost commitment and passion, it can become a great innovation. We have seen great products fail because of poor marketing, and we have seen mediocre products succeed because of great marketing. If you have a great product supported by excellent marketing, the chances are you can win the market. One of the reasons why your ideas or products fail is because it lacks the market orientation. A lot of innovations fail because organizations are unaware of their user problem they are trying to solve. There's a huge difference between selling what you have and selling what your customers want. You need to know what your customers want and make products that fit the need of a customer. You need to know what your customers are thinking and feeling, what problems they are facing, and how they are solving their problem, or who is solving their problems, and how can you solve that problem better, faster, cheaper, more hassle-free, with better convenience, and in a more friendlier way. Misunderstanding your market is one of the worst innovation mistakes your organization can make. And here's the worst part. You won't even realize you've failed until the product has gone to the market. Sometimes companies spend most of their innovation efforts in solving the wrong problem of customers because they ask the wrong questions. That happens again because we fall in love with our ideas more than how we want to solve customers' real problems. This is because we give more importance to the big idea rather than giving importance to what we call jobs to be done, or JTBD. Now, jobs to be done is an approach advocated by Harvard Business School professor Clay Christensen in his book, The Innovator's Solution. The key is to focus on the problem and not the product. Another Harvard Business School professor, Theodore Levitt, said it perfectly. People don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill. They want a quarter-inch hole. What is that your customers ultimately want from you? What problems are they trying to solve? Now, there are many ways to answer these questions. Before getting on with the idea or solution, it's important to get to the problem statement right. You must be addressing the real challenges of the customers and not their peripheral or presenting problem, but the real underlying problem. Ask the question, what is the job to be done from the customer's point of view? It's important to bring the team together to ask this question. The team will be able to think through this because they can bring in perspectives from different departments of your organization. The team must comprise of various departments like your sales, your marketing, customer service, R&D, finance, operations, and so on. This is vital to your product development because who is in constant touch with your customer? Of course, it's your sales team. Who is communicating with your customer? The marketing team, constantly communicating messages. They do the talking part, and your customer service is taking care of the listening part. If the jobs to be done can only be identified by your research and development team, then you might develop a product that customers are not looking for. Ideally, you should establish a cross-functional team to define the jobs to be done. The cross-functional team driving the innovation should be able to test the jobs to be done from different angles and through the process align various departments' understanding of these jobs to be done for the new product. This process will minimize issues in large organizations where execution fails because of differences in interpretation of what the product is supposed to do. Only those who really know their customers and users, their processes and wishes, can develop products and services that inspire enthusiasm and set themselves apart from the competition. We can see many failures in innovation because of the lack of market orientation. And the visible effects of this are seen in market failures. The main cause of failure in innovation projects is very clear. In almost 75% of cases, it is due to failure in marketing or poor alignment between the proposed offer and the actual needs of the market. The real pain points are missed or misinterpreted in most cases. Most of these companies do market research, and they hope that that's the only way to listen to the market needs. Now, simple market research will give a static image of the market. Just as Henry Ford once said, customers will be asking for a faster horse and not a car. Innovation focuses not on the past, but the future. Remember that. Sometimes we ask the right questions to the wrong crowd. We see the startups also making the same mistakes of asking feedbacks about their products or services from their family members and friends, who may not be the right fit to call themselves as the customer base in the first place. So the real solution lies in identifying customers' pain points. And there are two ways to do this. One is market focus, and the fundamental question is, who can I sell it to? Who has the problem to solve? And the second is a product focus, and the fundamental question is, what am I selling? What is my value proposition? And what niche am I serving? Another reason why innovators lack market focus is having too much focus on the technology. Often engineers or product developers, they focus more on technology and less on solutions. It's like making a sci-fi movie with too many special effects and no story. Of course, technology plays a vital role in innovation for the majority of businesses, but that's not the foundation of innovation. The foundation is customer experience, not technology. Technology is only a means to create better customer experience. It's natural to get distracted by shiny things. Technology is new and we tend to love it like a newborn baby, and we forget that everything else that's important, which is customer's problem, we forget that. It's important to keep the question in mind, how does this technology help consumers? And how much do they care? And how much are they willing to pay? Bottom line, it's okay to love your prototype, but it's more important that your customers love it too. Again, customers don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill. They want to buy a quarter-inch hole. Customers buy solutions to their problems, not the tools or products themselves. Another reason why there is a lack in market orientation is that innovators are not smart enough to iterate on the initial value proposition when the market is asking for it. Again, the reason is lack of customer focus and more emphasis on the product and the problems it's supposed to solve. It's important to iterate and evolve your minimum viable offering according to how the market is responding to it. So instead of building assumptions, you need to pay close attention to how customers use your products and iterate accordingly. Observe how they are making the best use of it, and evolve and change your products till it gains mass market acceptance. The second reason for innovation failure is bad timing. It's important to launch your products when the market is ready for it. Launching a great product in a premature market is equivalent to launching something in a saturated market. Timing is important for the innovation to succeed, and wrong timing can mean market disaster. When it comes to timing, sometimes companies abort too early and too fast if they don't see a market success. This also leads to innovation failure, even though the product had the potential to be a leader in the long run. Sometimes it's not about the timing, but how you measure success in certain duration or time frame makes the difference between winning and losing. In large organizations, the finance department would have a set of metrics to measure the success of products. These are very often the revenue, profit margin, market share, and growth rates. They make this comparison with existing products, and emerging technologies are measured under very poor light. In many instances, the team gets pressure from the bosses when the revenue from the innovation seems small and when compared to the mature products and what kind of revenues the mature products are making. When cost-cutting pressure weighs in, the new innovation may be aborted as it will not survive the measure of revenue over cost ratio as it has not reached scale. The key is to get the metric right to ensure that right decisions are made to either continue with the development of an innovation or to abort and fail fast and fail cheap. The third reason for innovation failures is slow structures and processes that lack speed and agility to execute. Again, this has to do with timing. You see, large organizations are like elephants that can't dance. If they are too departmentalized, bureaucratic, and slow in their process, the execution gets delayed because of the sluggish decision-making process involved. People who are involved in the process of innovation also gets discouraged, and ultimately this can give a death sentence to a lot of innovation initiatives. Then there is communication problem, trust issues, micromanagement, and again, it has a negative effect on the quality and efficiency of innovation projects and the way in which it is executed. If you look at the startups, you can see the opposite of this. Startups are more agile, they are flexible, they have smaller teams, and they are very quick to respond to the market needs and market opportunities because they have very less bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is one of the biggest killers of innovation in organizations across industries. If you look at today's fast-paced market, the process of ideation to creation must be optimized for speed and efficiency because in the world of the quick or the dead, you got to act faster. There are many world-changing innovative ideas resting with large corporations as stacks of papers on some CEO's desk, and most of them can be found at the bottom of the pile. And there are prototypes that are sitting idle in many R&D facilities of large corporations. One classic example to illustrate this is back in the late 1979 when Steve Jobs visited Xerox Corporation's Palo Alto research center known as PARC or PARC. Steve Jobs and many Apple engineers saw a desktop computer with new features of a mouse attached to it sitting in an idle prototype in Xerox Corporation research facility. It was on his visit that Jobs discovered that many features of his upcoming Apple computer like the mouse, windows, icons and other technologies that had been developed by PARC. The difference was that at that time, Apple was a small company and Xerox was a corporate giant back then. The challenge for larger companies is to embrace the new streams of business because they are afraid to make big mistakes. If they make that mistake, often the CEO gets fired. The board will ask difficult questions and investors are only interested in less risky projects. Most of them want to play it safe. So they cease to look for new streams that might be risky. But the fact is that innovation lies in new streams because new opportunities often exist in the streams that have never existed before. When the innovation pressure exists in the mainstream for large companies, it is the smaller ones that take advantage of the opportunity that exist in new streams or substreams or streams that has never existed at all. Sometimes innovation demands a restructuring which large companies are not prepared for. This is where small companies succeed because of their flexibility to experiment with the new business models. Smaller companies are more agile. They have no lethargic hierarchies or bureaucracies that can, slow them down. Therefore, they can act more quickly. They are internally well interlocked and networked, like everybody knows everybody. This improves collaboration and accelerates processes. They make it faster. They become more agile. On the other hand, large companies that act very matured, they have no space for innovation in most cases. This is the very reason why large companies like Amazon has embraced the idea of day one, a concept to nurture the beginner's mindset among employees to embrace the spirit of a startup than a matured expert. We can see the same spirit in companies like Google, who call themselves as they are the world's largest startup. Another factor to consider in the systems and process failure is also the lack of incentivization for innovation. First of all, many large organizations fail to capture great ideas from their employees. They don't have an answer to this question like, if an employee has a great idea, what to do with it? Companies that boost innovation incentivizes innovation. They create incentives that encourage employees to continue to think outside the box instead of following a status quo. To create accountability among their workforces, employees are given with autonomy. They are encouraged to experiment and fail, which they know will boost innovation in these organizations. The fourth reason for innovation failure is lack of innovation mindset and culture. Innovation is born and bred in a certain environment with people having a certain mindset. A mindset to collaborate as a team, to experiment and to fail intelligently, to be flexible with novel methods and to persevere till the end. Now, these are some of the characteristics of an innovation mindset. An innovation mindset is developed in the right culture and environment. Company cultures that don't permit failures and risks cannot innovate. They take the easy route of acquiring successful startups or small companies with few innovation success. Or they merge with other successful organizations that has an innovation or innovative value offer in place. Companies that promote the culture and mindset for innovation get to innovate even if they are large in size. To do this, companies need to boost creativity, brainstorm new ideas, and nurture their employees to go one step beyond. They need to think out of the box, think out of the norm, challenge their assumptions, and question the status quo. To develop an innovation mindset, employees must be empowered to express their opinions and ideas freely. They must be encouraged to take risks and fail intelligently. Innovation can become your best strategy, but remember, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture is a habit, the best way you do things around here, and the vibe that everyone expresses towards the idea or value. To make innovation happen, you need a culture that supports innovation. And the best culture that supports innovation is a culture of collaboration where people work together to create new value for their customers. The fifth reason why most innovations fail is forgetting the business part of innovation. When companies make stuff that does not make money, then they are missing out on the business part of the innovation. It is possible to make the stuff that people want and still lose money doing it. Innovation is not just about making products that will deliver value to customers. It also is about ensuring that when you deliver value, you're also paid in return. It's also about ensuring that you can deliver that value in a very sustainable way. You cannot sell products at a loss and then make it up in volume. Sustainable traction means that your products pay for their own existence. Sometimes there are brilliant ideas that customers want badly, but for an innovator, it may not be viable business because it cannot be monetized now or in the future. Sometimes we can make the right products and sell it to customers at the right price for profitability, but beyond the early adopters and sometimes you may struggle to find the right growth engine to scale your product. Sometimes you would just have a bunch of consumers in the beginning, and you probably won't be able to scale it. This is often how fast movers kind of lose their advantage to fast followers. The fast mover is the innovator. The fast follower becomes the master of a business model design and scaling, something which the fast mover would have missed out. Now, this can be really frustrating to fast movers who will cry foul about their fast followers literally copying their idea or stealing their business. Now, think about it. Google was not the first search engine. Facebook wasn't the first social media platform. They are market leaders because they are more of fast followers than fast movers. Making cool product is not just enough. You need to cross the chasm. You have to work real hard to go beyond your early adopters to your early and late majority of customers through scaling. If you don't do this, you are likely to be left behind and may even lose the share in market, a market which you have pioneered. But if you have made a profitable business model, then scaling is pretty easy. You should never ignore the business part of innovation. Making money is important to sustain your innovation and your business. If your innovation doesn't make money, then someone will figure out ways to make that money and take that innovation to the next level. As for startups, forgetting the business part of innovation can make you fail in your innovation. But for large corporations, it could be the other way around. That means focusing too much on the business part of the innovation can stop you from innovating itself. One classic example is Kodak, which originally invented the first digital camera and then ignored their innovation because they feared it would disrupt their existing business. Since Kodak was into the film business, they knew the digital camera would eat away their business of selling films, disrupting their business in the long term. So they had this innovator's dilemma, and to sustain their existing business, they ignored their disruptive innovation. The sixth reason for most innovation failure is lack of resources that includes right people and capital. Innovation costs resources and a budget to handle failures without hurting your core business. One of the most common reasons why innovation fails is due to the lack of budget or money invested in innovation initiatives. If the innovation project isn't being supported with the right amount of money to gather teams, brainstorm ideas, build a prototype, quality testing, and etc., then it will lose momentum towards its completion. Budget is like a sign of commitment from the organization towards achieving or creating something extraordinary. There should be a budget for experimentation and failures to fail cheaper. Even though a lot can be done with a limited budget, organization must set the right balance and set aside a budget towards R&D and innovation projects. Sometimes it's the lack of resources or lack of resourcefulness within the organization that will cause some innovation failures. The best brains may not be working for you, but if you have resourcefulness, you can hire or outsource the best talents in the world. Innovation requires a lot of collaboration. Sometimes you need to collaborate outside your organization, outside your industry, and sometimes even with your competition. Being rigid in your approach won't make innovations happen. You need to be willing to find all kinds of resources that can make an innovation successful. And having that lack of resourcefulness can hamper your innovation. Moreover, innovation needs an ecosystem. And that ecosystem requires a robust business model that includes a healthy network of suppliers, vendors, value providers, consultants, aggregators, and a chain of resources that can make the innovation successful on the long run. There are many reasons for innovations to fail, and there are many ways innovations can succeed also. There are many ways to innovate, and in the upcoming modules, I will be covering different types of innovation. Different types of innovation can give you multiple perspectives about different ways you can innovate. You also gain valuable insights as to what can be best suited for your business right now or in the future. There are many ways to innovate. For example, disruption is one among the many ways you can innovate. There is radical innovation, which focuses on the future. There is disruptive innovation that focuses on developing or expanding new markets. Different types of innovations begins with different types of focus or different focus. The focus of customer-centric innovation is on customer. The focus of incremental innovation is on the competition or improving the previous version. The focus of breakthrough innovation is on solving problems, and the focus of open innovation is on tapping onto the vast talent pool of the world. For business model innovation, the focus is on the competitive value creation and delivery. For blue ocean innovation, it's about creating value in the white space or entering new arenas or uncharted territories and so on. So, bottom line, the focus of innovators determines the kind of innovation they choose to engage in. I'll be speaking about different types of innovations in detail and how you can cultivate this focus and innovate value for your marketplace. Now, this will also give you the vantage point to consider different ways that you can innovate as an individual or as a team or as an organization.